Hey everybody, Demiheals here, and today we've got another Transformers review on our hands. Today we're looking at the Leader Class Transformers Earthrise Doubledealer figure. So, Doubledealer, I'm not too familiar with as a character. I do know that Doubledealer is one of those characters that does have both Autobot and Decepticon insignias. We'll get to that in a second. Though I did notice that on the included instructions, the little insignia of the... I don't remember what they're called, but the little gang almost that was introduced with Sound Blaster's gang in the Siege cartoon, they had that on the instructions, though not on the packaging that it came with. I've got that already in a precarious stack, so I don't want to grab it from there, but he does seem to be part of Sound Blaster's crew, potentially? I'm not too familiar, and we'll find out whenever we get the next chapter of the cartoon. But talking about the figure here in front of us, I love this character's color scheme that he's got going on. This sort of like dark teal and light teal together looks great. I love it. The red highlights really kind of pop. But he's got purple highlights as well, which really does work for when you have him swapped over to have Decepticon insignia, as well as some of the things that show up in some of his other modes. So, let's go ahead and de-arm him and talk about all his weapons as we take those off. So, his little shoulder rocket here is quite nice, though the back is very much empty. Though that's because this giant blaster that he holds onto, these will actually combine to form a giant missile for some of his alt modes. We'll get to those when we get to those. But then the other stuff that he comes included with, he does have two of these. They look almost like missile pods, though they are rather small. Personally, the only reason I took them out is because I wanted to have everything on hand. Otherwise, this would be the kind of thing that I just leave in the packaging, because it's a small weapon, not really super important. I, to this current moment, have not figured out what this is supposed to be. I think it's some kind of like armor piece or something. Maybe even like a front-facing like shoulder-mounted claymore or something. I'm not too familiar. If you know what this is, please let me know in the comments, because I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Then he also does come with this tiny little blaster. To be honest, I very much prefer using the Big Mondo blaster, but hey, if you like smaller guns, he does come with a smaller gun. And then last but certainly not least, attached here on the back, there's, if I can bring it down, there's these two pegs here that just sort of lean on the back. And if you unpeg that, this section, right now it's in sort of a jetpack configuration, but really it comes more into play with his alt modes than it does with his robot mode. It's just kind of an accessory in this mode, but you'll see where it comes on for both of his alt modes. Then, looking at Doubledealer himself as a figure, I love the fact that he is a chunky boy. He is not like some of the other leaders released through Earthrise that were just like Voyager Plus. Like, if we just take the aforementioned Sound Blaster here as an example from a previous review, like, he's about the next size up from what Sound Blaster was. Sound Blaster is very clearly a head below him, and Sound Blaster was already a head above most deluxes, so that's pretty good. Then, if we take our good buddy Siege Ultra Magnus, just took him off my shelf because hey, he was here. With Siege Magnus in his power armor, he's a little bit taller than Doubledealer, but then again, I just took off all of Doubledealer's little backpack and such to make him a little bigger. So, he's a good size for a leader. I would have preferred bigger, but then again, I grew up in the Cybertron era, where leaders were the size of Commander-class Jetfire, so what can you do there? But let's go ahead and talk about some of this figure's posability. But first, before we get into posability overall, I did mention he has both Autobot and Decepticon insignias. And the way they managed it, sadly, it's not a little flippy gimmick like it is at the Commander-class Jetfire, but on each of his shoulders, there's this little flap that you can flip up and around, and the Autobot insignias become Decepticon insignias, and he becomes a true Decepticon. Which, hey, everybody loves a good turncoat. Real Benedict Arnold character. What can you do? So we're going to flip those back for now, but they may come back into play, and they do come back into play with transformation. So, talking posability, his head is on it is a ball joint, but just with where it is and how it's positioned, there's not a lot of up and down you can get, but side to side, it's blocked off a little by this apparatus up top. But other than that, a pretty nice head posability. The shoulders do go the whole way around, really easily in fact, and the shoulders do move out as well. And technically, there is a butterfly forward, though that's partially for transformation, but it does work for robot mode too. There is an upper arm swivel. Elbow is on a nice double bend. And the wrist doesn't have... Oh, it does have a swivel! I actually just picked up this figure yesterday, so I'm still learning things about it, and he does have a wrist swivel, which given how it transforms, I was not expecting. So hey, wrist swivel on a on Doubledealer, that's nice. In terms of waist posability, he does have a waist swivel that is a little impeded if you store his wings like this. We'll get to the wings in a bit. But if you take the wings and fold up the tips, like so, then that grants full 360 range of motion for his waist swivel, which is real nice. In terms of his hips, they move forward a full 90, and under the same pretense, they do move back almost a full 90. And a split, he does have. And because of the fact that there are wheels on the inside of his legs, he can technically roll as he's splitting, which, hey, combat advantage. In terms of thigh swivel, so any swivel that's on his leg, well, there is the thigh swivel up here, but also due to the transformation, there is a swivel on the lower section of the leg below the knee, which can come in handy for some things, but it's going to be a little tricky to find a way to pose that well. And then a knee bend kind of gets in the way with the stuff in the back here, but there is a knee bend. Then ankle pivot. There is a wonderful ankle pivot on this guy. Great ankle pivot. Full 90. And then the heel flips up for the transformation, but you can find some uses for that too in a partial position. All in all, Doubledealer is really, really well posable in this mode. But of course, we can't just spend the whole day talking about Doubledealer in his robot mode. He's got several other too. Well, 2 to be exact. So, let's go ahead and start getting him on the path towards his first alt mode. Yeah, I said first. So, to get Doubledealer into his... Let's start with the bird mode. So bird mode, go ahead and fold up his arms, and then on the inside of each arm, there's this hole, there's a tab on this back apparatus there. Just position, use that double bend elbow to position the arms to tab in there. Then, once you got those tabbed in, go ahead and fold those out of the way, and those, they'll be out of the way for now. So the reason that each leg of Doubledealers has that bend below the knee, we're going to need that for this part of the transformation. So flip out the ankles, and then what you're going to be trying to do, So, on the inside here, and I bent this the other way to make it easier to see, this black tab on the lower section is going to tab into the back of his thigh. But while this is going on, you essentially have to tuck it in inside of his shin. And it's a little tricky to actually get to tab in, but once you get it, it does make a click. This is real hard to do in front of a camera. Come on. There it goes. Then, doing the same thing on the other side. This is actually a really cool part of the transformation to have the the thighs fold into the shins, which I like. If you bring those pieces together, they tab into each other. Then, those little bits that folded out from behind his feet tab in to holes on the side of his chest, or on the side of his torso right here. So those tab in, and they go behind these arm sections, which is why we had to fold those out. Then, on this section, on what was the left leg, right leg, his right, go ahead and bring this section back up, take his chest and unpeg it, and fold it all the way forward. Then fold this section up and over top. It's going to like clamp it down and hold it in place. Then, if we come here to the back, folding this section all the way forward for now, let's go ahead and unfold and spread out the wings. I already showed you how those tips fold up, but just unfold, spread them out. Then open up this section on his back. It just tabs in. And we're going to fold this entire thing up and around to bring the bird head out. The head has just enough clearance to make it through. So it will make it through, but it's going to make a click sound, so don't be afraid of it. Then just fold that piece up, and once you get it that 180, close this assembly back, again, peg and hole. Just like that. Now, let's go ahead and bring those arm sections. You're going to want to fold the Decepticon insignias down, just to make sure there is enough, to make sure that they're actually, like, held in place a little bit. Then, on these wheel apparatuses, fold them down, fold out the feet, do that to both, then straighten and pull out the head. It's on a double joint on the neck there. And I usually open the mouth at this point. You don't have to. But we're almost done getting him into his bird mode. What's left, if you take this apparatus here, there's a peg here and a little hole. There's 2 holes on the back of his gun. Put those in place. Then this black clip on here, if we go to the back of the bird, there's this clip section here. Not the bigger one. The bigger one does fit the tail itself, but the smaller one fits the missile, which is what we're going to want to clip on. So if we just clip that on, just like that, fold down these little landing strut things, and then, while you can fit any of his other accessories onto the various combat ports on the figure, I'm not going to do that for this review. Just know that there's a whole lot of different places you can stick them, both around and under the figure. But for now, we're just going to keep him the way he is like this for bird mode. And my, what a bird. He's got a real nice wingspan that I do enjoy, and while he does essentially kind of look a bit chunky from the side, I do like the way that they managed to get this bird mode in. I just think that a bird carrying a missile on its back is really funny. If you want to, on the back here, these landing struts, you can fold out like the jetpack on the Doubledealer robot mode. So you can have a little rocket bird action. But overall, this Doubledealer in his bird mode is pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. I do enjoy this figure. Even in this bird mode. But hey, he's got more than just a bird mode. You wouldn't have a missile if it wasn't just a bird. So, let's go ahead and take off that missile. And let's go ahead and just take him over to the other vehicle mode. Pretty much any posability on this guy, I've already mentioned or shown. His wings, how they fold out and all that. The double jointed neck, opening mouth. These leg sections have that wibble, and so do the feet. So, while the instructions usually tell you to take it back to robot mode to get into vehicle mode, I'm going to transform him from bird to vehicle just to save on time, but know that it is easier to get some of these things to the robot mode and then to the other mode first. But if we fold back up his legs, as I showed you, let's go ahead and open this up, take this section folded back out, fold back up the bird head, and we're going to fold it back, just get the robot head here and ready. We're also going to fold the chest back up, but that's going to come back down in a bit. Now, I'm also going to go ahead. So, taking the legs, we're going to unpeg those, and we want to head into the back here. We want to untab that little knee connection there. And we want to bring that back down. It's a little tricky. And don't break your figure, but just very carefully get those knees unpopped and back out. Now, heading back to the front, we're not gonna condense it down all the way, but we just want to get it to where that same tab that tabbed into the side of the waist now tabs into the thigh. So it's still gonna be folded in a little bit, but it's not gonna be where it's tabbed in. But if you just find a way to get both legs to that bit, eventually everything will line up and you'll get this plugged in into his thighs. That, if we fold back up his wings, will let you actually bring the arm apparatuses back down. And you can untab the arms at this point because we're going to tab them into a new spot. But first, after folding up the Autobot insignias, let's go ahead, take his chest, untab it, and this time we're going to swivel it around as we bring it down. And there's those two tabs, that's how it plugs into the chest. Those same two tabs are going to plug in here, right where his knees line up. So there's that, and that just tabs in to the legs. Then, for the arms, we're going to fold them around, and there's a tab right at the bottom of the wrist. That tabs in with that little tab on the back of the shoulder. So both of those will tab in. You want to be careful that you're opening it on the butterfly joint of the arm, not the entire apparatus this time. It's kind of weird that they have two butterflies in just about the same part, but hey, what can you do about it? So, now on the missile, we're going to tab it into the two holes on this green plate here. And tabbing that in, then just fold that all the way forward, and he's got that on. But we're also going to take the little jetpack bit, and there's these two gray holes down here. It's a little tricky to line up, but if you plug that in, fold up the tail, and fold up the struts, and again, same deal. I'm not going to put on the little missile pegs, but to hide the fists a little better, you can plug in his other weapons up here on top. And here we have Doubledealer in his little weapons platform mode. So the weapons platform, or this little armored carrier, I'm not sure what you'd call it, missile carrier, I love it. It's, for some reason, out of all the leader classes I've gotten from everything, I think the last leader class outside of the War for Cybertron trilogy that I got was, maybe all the way back, like, movie toy line. This is my favorite since then. I just love how he has this, like, everything about this, just the design, the angles. It's a clusterfuck. But it's my kind of clusterfuck. You know, like, by the way, this is not a kid's channel. I forgot to say that. But yeah, I love this figure so much. But there is one more thing you can do here on the missile platform mode before I give it a final review. And that is, you take these struts, plant them down onto the ground, take this back panel and fold it and then angle it down. And you can plug that in with anything like that has that section, like if you have Ironworks, if you have Airwave, all those modulators, that connects to them. But then, taking this giant missile, you can stand it straight up, and he can be launching the missile off of him, which I really do like. So, now that I've shown off everything I want to show off with this guy, which, by the way, rolls real nice, final review. I love this figure so much. As a leader class, I think it's the first Earthrise model that I would be willing to pay leader class for. Astrotrain, I bought in Siege. I don't want to buy him again. Optimus, I would love to see him as a Voyager without the trailer. But as he is, he's a great figure. But Doubledealer, I love just as a leader class. I think he's a wonderful figure for the size class, and honestly, I was very close to ordering this guy if I didn't just find him doing a Walmart run. Like, this is a figure that I would say to pick up if you have, if you see it, because it's a wonderful figure, and honestly, I'm finding new things about it every time I mess with it, and it's just quickly becoming one of my favorites to fiddle around with. But hey, what do you think? Do you have Doubledealer already? What do you think of the guy? Let me know down in the comments. Don't be afraid to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Yeah, you know the drill. But please let me know if you do like this. If there's something you guys want to see next, I would love to review stuff that's not just, oh, what's the new release? So if there's something you want to see, let me know. If I have it, I'll review it. But thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, have a great rest of your day, everybody.